Hulk Hogan wrote a letter his daughter never opened, until now. What's inside had her frozen in shock and left her mom crying online because it exposes her, too.
He's a complete liar. He is a sex addict.
It's not just a confession, it's a bombshell that could destroy what's left of their family. This isn't just drama, it's something way darker. Let me break it down. A daughter's silent pain.
You know what? It's so funny. I never really was like a big fame person, even though we did TV and we, had that whole life. I really like kind of being a hermit crab, so.
Brooke didn't cry when the news of her father's death broke. She skipped the WWE tribute, and she refused to open the letter he wrote her just days before he passed. But when Brooke Hogan finally did, she turned pale. Because what was inside that envelope? It wasn't just a goodbye. It wasn't just a father's last words. It was a confession, a bombshell, a written breakdown of secrets he had never said out loud. Truths so devastating, so personal, that some in the Hogan family are reportedly furious it even exists. Because that letter has the power to destroy whatever legacy Hulk Hogan thought he had left. Hulk Hogan, born Terry Bollea, was America's muscle-bound father figure, a man who turned the WWF into family programming, a pop culture god in yellow trunks. But behind the screaming fans and the mustache was a deeply fractured family that was breaking long before the public ever knew. And at the heart of that fracture, Brooke Hogan. Brooke, who once sang her way into reality TV with Hogan Knows Best, went from daddy's girl to his harshest critic. She was his biggest fan, and then, without warning, she was gone, estranged, absent, silent, until she posted a single message after his death, a message that raised more questions than it answered. Let's talk about that post. On July 29th, 5 days after Hulk Hogan died of cardiac arrest, Brooke posted a tribute letter titled, "My Dearest Daddy" on Instagram. In it, she made it clear that she hadn't spoken to her father in nearly 2 years. She didn't attend his wedding to Sky Daily, and she wasn't invited to the WWE tribute either, according to this post. Her words were soft but haunting. "We had a connection deeper than words, and yet I had to step away to protect my heart." She also admitted to removing herself from Hulk's will in 2023 by her own request. She wanted no part of the $25 million fortune, no lawyers, no lawsuits, no fight. But the reason? She doesn't say, not directly. But we now know it was about that letter, a letter she had received months earlier, a letter she didn't open until after he died. Multiple sources say Brooke physically recoiled when she read it, and family insiders told us she was pale as a ghost. Her husband reportedly said she left the room sobbing and didn't speak for hours. And here's the thing, that letter was not part of any official estate document. It wasn't filed with lawyers. It wasn't passed down through a will. It was handed off privately by someone close to Hulk, his wife, Sky Daily. And that alone should tell you something. Because Brooke and Sky, they hadn't spoken since 2023. Brooke didn't attend her father's wedding to Sky, writing on Instagram that she needed space for healing and happiness. But what really happened is far darker. Brooke had warned her father about Sky, about what she called controlling influences around him. She believed her father was being isolated, that his medical decisions, his business moves, even his faith journey were being manipulated, and she made the painful choice to step away. In 2023, she told him, "I can't reach you anymore." That was the last conversation they ever had. What happened next is something out of a tabloid nightmare, but it's 100% real. Just months later, Hogan and Sky were baptized together in a Florida church. Hogan said it was the greatest day of my life and began publicly emphasizing his born-again Christian faith as reported by People. But in private, he began writing letters to the people he felt he had wronged. One of them was Brooke. He wrote that letter in January 2025. He gave it to Sky in April, and Brooke didn't touch it until July 25th. The question is, why? Why didn't Brooke open it for months? According to people close to her, Brooke had already said her goodbyes. She wasn't interested in rehashing old wounds. But the moment that changed everything was when she found out the letter referenced not just her, but her children. Because Brooke had become a mother. She gave birth to twins, Oliver Andrew and Molly Jean, in January 2025, and Hulk never met them, never asked about them, and in his letter, he explains why. It's the kind of confession that'll make your blood run cold. In the letter, Hogan didn't just apologize, he exposed some of his darkest secrets, including one of the most disturbing betrayals of all, sleeping with his daughter, Brooke's best friend. Let's rewind to 2007. That's when Linda Hogan filed for divorce after discovering Hulk's alleged affair with none other than her daughter's best friend, Christiane Plant, a woman who had worked closely with Brooke on her music career. Years later, Linda called Hulk a liar and a sex addict and said he had ruined her and the kids emotionally.
He's a complete liar. He is a sex addict.
According to Plant herself, the affair happened when the marriage was privately over, but the damage was already done. She wrote Brooke an apology note and told the press, "I will never be able to fully forgive myself for this." Brooke was devastated. She posted a since-deleted MySpace message. "When your best friend and one of your closest family members that you have loved unconditionally since your first day on this earth betray you you together. You will never forget the hurt. That betrayal never healed. And Brooke has said that her father's actions during that period were emotionally scarring. Then just when the family was beginning to process that trauma, Hulk Hogan became known for something else, a sex tape and a racial slur. A 2012 leak revealed Hogan making offensive comments about his daughter possibly dating a black man. The public backlash was instant. WWE cut ties with him, sponsors dropped him, and for many, the image of Hulk Hogan as a family man was shattered.
I was at the lowest point of my life. My personal life was destroyed. I was very mad at my daughter. I was upset over a situation that happened between her and her boyfriend, and I had no idea I was being taped. I was to the point where I wanted to kill myself.
Brooke defended herself, but she never fully defended him. And it's this moment, this fracture, that some people believe Hulk tried to repair in that final letter. The Hogan family's troubles extended far beyond the relationship between father and daughter, encompassing a web of scandals, legal battles, and personal tragedies that would ultimately destroy one of America's most famous families. The complete destruction of the Hogan dynasty. To truly understand the depth of the Hogan family's collapse, we must go back to the beginning, to a time when Terry Jean Bollea was just a young wrestler trying to make it in the business, and Linda Claridge was the woman who would stand by his side as he transformed into the global phenomenon known as Hulk Hogan. Hulk and Linda met in the early 1980s and married on December 18, 1983, in a ceremony attended by wrestling personalities including Vince McMahon and Andre the Giant. For 24 years, they built what appeared to be a successful marriage and family, with Linda playing the role of the supportive wife, while Hulk conquered the wrestling world. Together, they had 2 children, Brooke in 1988 and Nick in 1990, and their family life was eventually showcased to the world through their reality television show. But beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect family, cracks were already beginning to show. The reality show Hogan Knows Best, while presenting the image of a close-knit family, actually added strain to their relationship due to the constant filming and public scrutiny. The pressure of living their lives in front of cameras, combined with the demands of Hulk's career and his increasingly controlling behavior, began to take its toll. The first major blow to the family came not from Hulk's professional life, but from the actions of his son Nick. On August 26, 2007, 17-year-old Nick Hogan was involved in a devastating car crash in Clearwater, Florida, while driving a yellow Toyota Supra owned by his father. The accident occurred around 7:30 p.m. on Court Street, a road with a posted speed limit of 40 miles per hour, but Nick was traveling at an estimated speed well over 60 miles per hour, possibly up to 80 to 90 miles per hour, on a wet road due to recent rain. Nick was not alone in the car. He was traveling with John Graziano, a 22-year-old U.S. Marine and friend who was part of Nick's drifting team's pit crew. The crash was devastating. Nick lost control of the Supra, which fishtailed and spun across the road, first striking a raised median strip, then colliding with a palm tree, wrapping around it and destroying the vehicle. And it turns out they were racing another car.
What is your emergency?
There's been a horrible accident.
Is there any smoke or flames coming from the vehicle?
Yeah, they was racing. They were racing. It was 2 cars drag racing.
While Nick sustained only minor injuries and was released from the hospital the following day, Graziano was critically injured and airlifted to the hospital, where he remained in a coma for weeks. He suffered catastrophic injuries, including severe brain damage, a fractured skull, eye damage, and other trauma that left him in a vegetative state requiring lifelong care. The young Marine, who had served his country with honor, would never be the same again. The legal consequences for Nick were swift and severe. He was charged with reckless driving involving serious bodily injury, using a motor vehicle in the commission of a felony, operating a vehicle with a BAC over 0.02% as a minor, and illegal window tint. On May 9, 2008, Nick pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 8 months in Pinellas County Jail, 5 years of probation, 500 hours of community service, and a 3-year driver's license suspension. And to this day, he isn't allowed to see his best friend.
It's still hard for me to think about. I'm sorry.
Do you ever see him?
I've reached out and tried, but at this point I'm not allowed to visit John.
Do you understand why
Yes,
the family may not want you to see him?
Absolutely.
Does that hurt?
It does.
But the criminal charges were only the beginning of the family's troubles. The Graziano family filed a civil lawsuit against the Hogans, seeking compensation for lifetime medical costs estimated in the millions. Hulk Hogan settled out of court in February 2010 for an undisclosed amount, though reports suggest it was substantial enough to cover Graziano's care. Perhaps most damaging to the family's reputation were the jailhouse phone calls between Nick and his family members that were released via public records request. These calls revealed disturbing attitudes attitudes and comments that shocked the public. In one particularly controversial call, Hulk Hogan expressed concern that karma from the crash might reincarnate the family as black people, foreshadowing the racism scandal that would emerge years later. The stress of Nick's legal troubles and the ongoing civil lawsuit created tremendous pressure within the Hogan household, but it was another revelation that would prove to be the final nail in the coffin of Hulk and Linda's marriage. In 2008, Linda's publicist publicly stated that she filed for divorce after discovering Hulk's affair with Christiane Plant, who was one of Brooke's close friends and had worked with the family on Brooke Knows Best. Plant confirmed the relationship in a 2008 interview with the National Enquirer, saying, "My relationship with Terry began at a time when Terry and Linda privately knew their marriage was ending. She had left him already, although no official papers had been filed. She added that it seemed right then, but I know it was wrong, and expressed regret for the pain it caused Brooke, noting, having felt the guilt and pain build up, I gave a note to Brooke apologizing for my actions. I will never be able to fully forgive myself for this. I have lost an amazing friend." For Brooke, this betrayal was particularly devastating. Not only was her father cheating on her mother, but he was doing so with someone she considered a close friend. Brooke was deeply affected by the affair, posting and later deleting a MySpace message in 2008. "When your best friend and one of your closest family members that you have loved unconditionally since your first day on this earth betray you together, you could maybe find it in yourself to forgive one day, but you will never forget the hurt they caused you and how it hurt the people who mean the most to you." Linda filed for divorce in Pinellas County, Florida in November 2007, catching Hulk off guard. He reportedly learned about it from a St. Petersburg Times reporter rather than from Linda directly. The proceedings were highly public and acrimonious, lasting nearly 2 years amid disputes over their estimated $30 million fortune. There was no prenuptial agreement, which complicated asset division and led to prolonged negotiations. The divorce was finalized in July 2009, with Linda receiving approximately 70% of the couple's liquid assets, a $3 million property settlement, 40% ownership stake in Hulk's various companies, and several luxury vehicles. The settlement was a massive financial blow to Hulk, but the emotional cost to the entire family was even greater. Meanwhile, as the family was dealing with the fallout from the divorce and Nick's legal troubles, another scandal was brewing that would eventually explode into the public consciousness in the most spectacular fashion. In 2006 to 2007, Hulk was secretly recorded during a sexual encounter with Heather Clem, the wife of radio personality Bubba the Love Sponge. This recording, made without Hogan's knowledge, captured not only the intimate content, but also conversations where Hogan made the racist remarks that would later destroy his career. Gawker Media published a clip of the sex tape in October 2012, prompting Hogan to file a lawsuit for invasion of privacy, infringement of personality rights, and emotional distress, seeking $100 million. The case, Balea vs. Gawker, concluded on March 18, 2016, with a jury awarding him $115 million in compensatory damages and $25 million in punitive damages. Gawker settled for $31 million in November 2016, leading to the company's bankruptcy. During the Gawker trial, it was revealed that Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel had secretly funded Hogan's lawsuit due to a personal grudge against Gawker for outing him as gay in 2007.
We knew we were doing what was right, and even if we would have lost, it would have been good because everybody would have known what Gawker was all about, because I exposed them and what they do and how they look at the world, which to me is very, very scary.
But the legal victory came at a tremendous personal cost. The same tape that earned Hogan millions in damages also contained the racist remarks that were leaked in 2015, leading to his temporary exile from WWE and causing immeasurable damage to his relationships with his children. Throughout all of these scandals and legal battles, the Hogan family continued to fracture. Linda began dating 19-year-old Charlie Hill in 2008, a relationship that ended around 2012 after a televised proposal. Hulk remarried twice, first to Jennifer McDaniel in 2010, divorcing in 2022, then to yoga instructor Sky Daly in 2023. By March 2025, Linda was posting tearful Instagram videos blaming Hulk for the family's destruction, stating,
"It's been 15 or longer years since I got left Hulk Hogan, and my family is in the worst mess. Brooke doesn't talk to us. She's had twins. She got married. She didn't tell us. She had twins. She didn't tell us. She had a huge fight with Terry. I don't know how that reflected onto me, but she cut me out too. I haven't talked to her for 7 years.
The family's dysfunction had become so complete that even major life events, marriages, births, deaths, were no longer shared among its members. Brooke had distanced herself from both parents, not inviting Hulk to her 2022 wedding and not informing either parent about the birth of her twins in 2025. The woman who had once been the apple of her father's eye had essentially erased her parents from her life entirely. Nick, meanwhile, continued to struggle with the consequences of his actions. On November 18, 2023, he was arrested for DUI in Clearwater, the same city as his 2007 crash, after failing sobriety tests and refusing a breathalyzer. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 1 year of probation on June 21, 2024. The young man, who had once been featured prominently on the family's reality show, had become a cautionary tale about privilege and consequence. All of these family troubles were compounded by another challenge that Hulk was facing largely in private, a series of devastating health problems that were slowly destroying his body and would ultimately contribute to his untimely death. The combination of professional scandals, family dysfunction, and physical deterioration created a perfect storm that no amount of fame or fortune could weather. Hulk Hogan's final battle. The story of Hulk Hogan's physical decline is inseparable from the story of his career. Throughout his wrestling journey, which began in 1977, Hogan established himself as the real American and was known for donning his token colors of yellow and red, as well as for his signature leg drop move, one he often said he had come to regret for the damage it did to his hips and knees. What fans saw as an exciting finishing move was actually a devastating blow to Hogan's own body, repeated thousands of times over the course of his career. In a candid 2019 interview, Hogan reflected on the toll his signature move had taken on his body, something he wished he could change if he went back in time.
So all those years dropping that leg in those rings, with the board sticking up, or laying on my tailbone, oh my God, what was that, a rock in the ring? Oh my God, was that a board sticking up? All those years dropping the leg, I would have changed that, and I would have never dropped the leg.
The leg drop, performed over 300 times a year during his peak, led to repeated trauma, contributing to conditions like spinal stenosis, spondylolisthesis, and disc damage. The physical demands of Hogan's career were extraordinary. During his prime, he was wrestling 400 to 450 times a year, flying 300 days annually, and performing in conditions that would be considered unacceptable by today's standards. By the time Hogan retired from active competition in 2012, he had undergone at least 10 back surgeries, part of a broader tally of 25 surgeries in the last decade of his life.
Also pain management.
Yeah, that's a whole nother trip, brother, because I've had 25 surgeries in the last 10 years. So when people say, hey, the wrestling's fake, it goes right up my ass.
The surgeries included spinal fusion procedures, knee and hip replacements, shoulder operations, and procedures on his eyes and abdomen. In January 2013, Hogan filed a $50 million medical malpractice lawsuit against the Laser Spine Institute, claiming they had performed unnecessary and ineffective spinal operations that worsened his condition. The lawsuit alleged that 6 procedures over 19 months provided only short-term relief of 2 to 3 weeks each, while actually destabilizing his spine. But the physical pain was only part of Hogan's health struggle. The constant surgeries led to a dangerous dependence on prescription painkillers that nearly cost him his life. In a harrowing account on Joe Rogan's podcast, Hogan described his near-death experience with fentanyl.
And the thing that stopped me, the thing that shut me down completely, where I said enough's enough, is when they hit me with the fentanyl stuff. They almost killed me with that stuff. So that's when I said, I'm done.
The addiction to prescription painkillers became what Hogan described as a vicious cycle, with doctors continuing to prescribe medications even after his recovery. The withdrawal process was equally traumatic, as Hogan described.
And I sweated through the bed, all the way through the mattress and stuff several times. I had people come in and check on me, and I saw my ex-wife's teeth come out and talk to me. I saw a plastic squirt gun come out of her chest, and this is coming off the fentanyl.
When he finally got clean, Hogan had lost 35 pounds and vowed never to return to prescription painkillers. He turned to CBD products for pain management and made significant lifestyle changes, including quitting alcohol in early 2023 and losing 40 pounds. In 2025, Hogan's health took another serious turn. In May, he underwent a 4-level anterior cervical discectomy fusion surgery on his neck, initially described by his team as minor. However, complications arose, including an adverse reaction that caused caused loss of speech and required prolonged hospitalization. His wife, Sky Daly, publicly denied rumors about his condition, insisting his heart was strong and he was recovering well. Jimmy Hart, a close friend, stated on July 22, 2025, that Hogan was doing phenomenal and had been at karaoke the night before, but these assurances proved tragically optimistic. Reports suggest that in his final weeks, Hogan canceled appearances, appeared pale, and complained of chest pains and fatigue, but he refused further medical intervention, opting for alternative treatments like CBD oils and acupuncture. He skipped a scheduled cardiology appointment and had sworn off additional surgeries or hospital visits. On July 24, 2025 at 9:51 a.m., emergency services responded to Hogan's home in Clearwater, Florida, following a call about cardiac arrest. Clearwater Police Major Nate Burnside confirmed he was experiencing a serious medical issue, and he was pronounced dead at Morton Plant Hospital at 11:17 a.m. In the context of his family's complete estrangement, Hogan's final months were particularly tragic. Despite becoming a grandfather to twins in January 2025, he showed no interest in meeting them. His daughter Brooke had been estranged from him for nearly 2 years before his death, with their last conversation occurring in September 2023. Even his ex-wife Linda, despite their bitter divorce, expressed ongoing love for him as the father of her children. When Hogan died, he left behind not just a wrestling legacy, but also a family in ruins. Brooke's emotional tribute after his death revealed the complexity of their relationship, describing their bond as spiritual and unbreakable, even through silence. But perhaps most heartbreaking of all was the revelation that she had removed herself from his will in 2023, wanting nothing to do with the fortune that came with so much pain. The man who once told millions of children to say your prayers and eat your vitamins had failed to follow his own advice when it came to the most important aspects of life: humility, honesty, and unconditional love for family. And in the end, that failure cost him everything that truly mattered. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.